Welcome to Kin's Corner. Allow me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kin Mark. I was a special education teacher, school psychologist, and educational administrator with the New York City Department of Education. In total, I have 35 years of experience in special education. Even though I am retired, I want to continue my work helping people. In my videos, I will share my knowledge and experiences with you. This video is the first part, one of several presentations on special education I hope to bring you. Let's begin. What is special education? Well, it is both a practice and service to students with disabilities. Personally, I don't like the term disabilities, so I will use the term special needs instead. My reason for this is because I truly believe that all students, even students with special needs, can learn and achieve, given the appropriate services and accommodations. The term disability refers to long-term intellectual, mental, physical, or sensory impairments that hinders participation in schools, the workplace, and in general society. This is where I disagree because given support, therapy, and accommodations, we can level the playing field so that all, including students with special needs, can participate and become valuable members of society. As a special education professional, I am sometimes asked how I view special education students. My response is, I see them as human beings like you and I. The only difference is that they think and interact with the environment differently to a higher degree. We all think and act differently, some more than others. That is what makes us all individuals. Students with special needs are no different in this way. Unfortunately, many in the past didn't share this view, which was why many were hidden from society. This brings me to the next slide, which is the special education history. Special education actually started in the early 1930s with parent groups advocating for their children with special needs, such as hard of hearing and the intellectually disabled. The formal term was mental retardation. Eventually, these parent groups successfully lobbied government to pass laws that provided training for teachers who work with the hard of hearing or intellectually disabled students in the 1950s. See how powerful parent groups are? To all you parents out there, thank you, and please never stop advocating for your children because your voices are heard. Our children are our most precious gifts. We, the parents, are their strongest advocates. I had to get that in. Now, back to the history. In the 1960s, multiple laws were passed granting funds for special needs students. When the 70s rolled in, the special education responsibility and funding were assigned to the state and local governments. They provided the special education resources and schooling to students identified with special needs. The federal government was involved, but only put in about 9% of the funding, if states meet their criteria. Then, in 1973, the Rehabilitation Act guaranteed civil rights to all disabled people and required accommodations for students with special needs in schools. 2 years later, in 1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, or EHA, guaranteed a free and appropriate education to all children with disabilities. About 20 years later, in 1997, EHA underwent reauthorization and changed to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. This updated law emphasized the use of IEPs, or Individualized Education Plans, for all special education students. What this did was provide applicable standards and structure to special education. Now, who are entitled to these benefits is our next slide. Students that are identified, evaluated, and classified as special needs are entitled. Once an individualized education plan is written and approved, the student will receive services and accommodations. There is a process which I will present in a second part of this series entitled The Special Education Process. Now, let's look at the various services and accommodations that can be provided. These services are on a continuum from least to greater restrictiveness. Remember that all services and accommodations are free. Here are the continuum of services, starting with the least restrictive, which is at-risk services. This is actually not considered a special education service and is meant to provide general education students with the supports they need, such as counseling. This is more of a preventive model. At-risk services do not require any evaluations. This service can be requested by the parent, teacher, or principal if available. The following services do require formal testing. Related services only means that the student remains in the same general education class with additional services such as speech language therapy, counseling, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and/or hearing services, etc., as the related services. The next level of restrictiveness is Special Education Teacher Support Services, or SETS. The formal name is Resource Room. This is usually a part-time service providing students with academic support, about 40 to 45 minutes a day, for 5 days a week. The provider is a special education teacher trained in this area. There are two types of SETS. The first is that the academic remediation is provided to a student in a separate location away from the general education classroom in a group no larger than 8. The second type of SETS is push-in, where the SETS teacher goes to the general education classroom to provide the academic remediation in conjunction with the classroom teacher. A student may also be recommended for both SETS and related services. The next level is Integrated Co-Teaching, or ICT. This is a quasi-special education class because you have both general education and special needs students in the same classroom. An ICT class is taught by 2 teachers. One is a general education teacher, and the other is a special education teacher. There is a maximum limit of 12 special needs students allowed in an ICT class. The next program in the continuum is small class in a community school. This is a 100% special education class. The class size is 12 or less, 15 in high schools, and is meant to provide more specialized instruction and greater individualization to students with greater needs. An even more restrictive program is special class in a specialized school, or District 75. This program provides a highly specialized instructional support for students with significant challenges. They can be sensory impairments, severe intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, severe autism, or multiple disabilities. There are more restrictive programs, which is too lengthy for this short video. If you'd like me to address this subject, please comment below or consult with your child's school. Now we come to accommodations. The first type is test modification. It is an accommodation such as reading the directions to the students out loud or giving extended time on the test. Another test modification can be being tested in a separate location to minimize distraction and maximize attention concentration. Others are providing extended time on tests using large print, reading directions aloud, providing breaks, preferential seating, etc. Another type of accommodation is assistive technology. Many students with special needs, such as the hearing impaired, may benefit from hearing devices such as an FM unit. Others may benefit from materials in Braille or laptops. These are some of the materials and devices that can be provided free of charge if recommended. Finally, getting to and from school can be a challenge for students with mobility issues. This is why transportation is provided as an accommodation. Even students in wheelchairs can be bused in vehicles with lifts, so never be afraid to ask for specific services, because you, as the parent, knows what your child needs. Thank you for watching. Please give me a like, subscribe to get the latest videos, and comment below. Part 2 of this series will be out soon on the special education process. I welcome questions and suggestions. Be happy and be healthy.